Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. There is no difference between Henry Cavill and Christopher Reeve, the people, the men. There's a huge difference in how they played Superman. Christopher Reeve had the freedom to play the inspirational, hopeful Superman, and Henry Cavill hasn't. Now, Henry is getting an opportunity to play Superman again, the kind of opportunity many actors never get. But he's really had to fight for this. In terms of the pride of him fighting for this, it's not like a Ray Fisher fight, it was a behind the scenes fight. And there's a lot of pride in what Henry has done, where he's kept his nerve publicly, but behind the scenes, he was doing what he had to do to get the role back. Now, there's no question, if Emmerich and Hamada remained, this would not be happening right now. We're just very, very fortunate that we have new leadership to enable Henry to return as Superman. Henry Cavill once said that playing Superman is not just about playing him, it's a life choice. What does that mean? That means when you go out, you can't drink, you can't smoke, you can't cuss, you can't swear. And when a little kid asks you for an autograph, as frustrating as it is sometimes, you've got to grin, smile and sign that autograph and make that kid feel $1 million, because they're not seeing Henry Cavill or Christopher Reeve or Tom Welling or Dean Cain. They are seeing Superman. So it is a life choice. Christopher Reeve did it beautifully well. He believed in the myth of Superman. And this is what Christopher Reeve and Henry Cavill have in common, because Henry believes in the myth of Superman as well. And he's been fighting for the myth of Superman for a very long time. Henry played a Superman who was being kind of changed for a new generation, a jaded generation, if you like. So we were going to lose the camp, the red trunks. The costume Henry wears is sensational. There's no question about that. He was playing a contemporary Superman. There's nothing wrong with contemporizing Superman. The problem is, and the wrong thing is, when you attempt to change Superman, because Superman isn't Batman, he isn't Green Arrow, he is a mythological figure. He is a bit like Santa Claus. I know that's a weird analogy. Imagine if there was a guy every Christmas delivering presents using fairy dust to make his reindeers pull his sleigh. And he lives during the year in the North Pole, where there's a factory full of elves making presents. It's wish fulfillment, everyone. That's what Santa is, and that's exactly what Superman is, wish fulfillment. What they wanted to do on Man of Steel is create a real world scenario and say, hey, imagine if Superman is real in the real world. Once you do that, he ain't Superman anymore, because that's not the point of Superman. Superman is a character where you think, wouldn't it be amazing if one person could save us all? The idea of Superman failing to save people's lives is something that turns away hardcore Superman fans, because that's not the idea of the character. In most of the live action media for Superman, you never see him failing to save people's lives. Now, in Man of Steel, we saw many, many people that must have died in that film, with all the huge destruction, which looks great on the screen, by the way, but lots of people died. Superman failed to save many, many lives in that movie. And we've heard the excuses. I've given these excuses in the past. Oh, he's young, he's new to the game, he's inexperienced. And obviously, a real Superman wouldn't be able to save everyone. But what they did in the other films and the other TV shows, you never saw him not being able to save people. Maybe people off screen did die. We don't know. But the point is, you never saw Superman fail. Here, you see people dying. You see people dying in explosions. It's obvious when those buildings are falling down, they're hitting people. So people die. And in fact, in BVS, it's even more blatant in the opening sequence when we see that guy who works for Bruce Wayne stay in the building and start praying because he leaves the building too late. And Superman didn't save him. Superman in the Battle of Metropolis didn't save many people. Once you do that, you destroy that wish fulfillment that is the reason Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster created Superman. Now, one of the creators of Superman's father died in a burglary, in a bank robbery, trying to stop them. So there was this empowerment that these guys used in creating Superman. They wanted to take back control. 1938 was on the eve of World War II. So these lads weren't trying to create a real world hero. They were trying to create a mystical hero that had wish fulfillment to him, which meant that even though it's not very realistic for one hero to be able to save everyone, that's what they created. As I say, you can make other superheroes and heroes, real world characters, but once you make Superman into a real world character, he stops being Superman. And you can't do that. And this is what Man of Steel and BVS in particular attempted to do. And by doing that, they stopped him from being Superman. That there's many moments in Man of Steel where he comes across as Superman. He smiles, he saves the odd life, his relationship with Lois, his mother Martha Kent. He comes across as, as the Superman we know and love. But there's lots of moments where he doesn't feel like Superman because Goyer, Nolan and Snyder decided it'd be a good idea to put him in the real world. As I say, you can contemporize the character and make him modern and cooler. But the thing is, the first thing you've got to do with Superman is make him a person. This is the element of why Smallville was so successful, because they made him a person first. He had superpowers. He felt guilty for what was going on in Smallville with the meteors. He felt like a real person, But there's a difference between making him a person and relatable to making him, let's put Superman in the real world. There's a difference there. Let's get absolutely clear. So what Smallville did, what Alan Miles did, was make him a person that you could relate to. And it's the people who fail to do this with Superman that fail the most. If you don't make him a person first, then people won't relate to him, understand him. What you've got to do is put the audience's minds in the minds of Kal-El, Clark Kent Superman. And they start to think what it would be like to be this young man, to be the ultimate immigrant. Superman is the greatest example of what the American dream was. An immigrant comes from another land and makes something of himself and makes a difference in America. That is the core element of the American dream. And Man of Steel, BVS and the Snyder Cut ignored that because they said, let's make him a real character. Let's see how people would react in the real world if a Superman arrived. Now, people may complain about the reaction from the public in Superman the movie when Superman arrives, like cheering, clapping, because it's wish fulfillment. Now, in real life, people would be scared and question him. We get that. But the whole point of Superman is that he is wish fulfillment, and he's not from the real world. And this is the mistake they made from the very beginning, as much as I love Man of Steel and the other two Snyder movies. This is the mistake they made. You can't do that to Superman. Putting him in the real world takes away the very reason he was created for. Now, I'm not stringent on a character being the same as he is in the comics, but at the very least, he should be that character. And Superman, and I'll keep on saying these words, is wish fulfillment fantasy. And they took that away. And this is the problem with contemporary filmmakers and storytellers. They lack the imagination. They're so basic. Their mentality is so based in the real world, they don't care about fantasy. They don't care about wish fulfillment. They're more interested in pushing their own agendas, through these iconic worlds and characters. This, my friend, is why this Superman wasn't as successful as Christopher Reeve's Superman, because Henry Cavill has the same stuff to be a great Superman, just like Christopher Reeve did. Now Henry's been given the freedom to be the Superman he's always wanted to be. And he can stand up there, as Christopher Reeve did, and be a beacon of hope. And when this hopeful Superman is discussed, some people don't like that. But I'm very, very sorry. This is who Superman is. Now, will they do a direct sequel to Man of Steel? I wouldn't be against that. There's some great stories that can bounce off of Man of Steel. But that's not necessarily the way they're going to go. Because it's obvious here that this is the dawn of hope. And they're looking to make a Superman that comes from your mind and your fantasies and your imagination. Imagining someone who arrives to save us all. This has been Movies TV Mad. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I'll see you again in the next video. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.